Welcome, everybody, to the Tuesday edition of Minions of the Zoo. I'm your keeper, Skep Tock, tonight, and with me I have Minions Jenna.
Hello.
Prospero.
Hello.
And the Harry Channel.
Good evening.
It is so nice to be with you here on the my first broadcast. First time I've been on the air in 2022. It feels a great deal like it was still last year, you know, except I keep making mistakes on the date when I pay bills. But yes, I pay with checks, a few of them anyway still. But I was doing that today, and I dated them all 2021.
Yeah, it's an easier.
Every single one of them.
At least one is an easier number to change to two.
Idiot.
You know.
Yep.
So, but anyway, other than that, how is everybody doing? How are you doing, Jenna? How was the Christmas month for you?
A lot of fun. Christmas week.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we stopped. We had somebody at our house with Christmas dinner. Well, at least 3 somebodies from Christmas Eve until the 30th.
Yeah. And so you had a lot of people over.
Yep. And
how many people did you have in your house, would you estimate? Like 50? 30, 50, something like that?
Biggest number was close to 60, but that's because we had my mom's second cousins or something like that, and there are 4 of them, and they all have at least 5 children. So but my dad and Jamie were rock stars. They cooked for all of those meals and cooked roast, what have you. It was no peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. We ate.
Sure. They did all the dishes too?
Beans. We did not have
all the dishes?
No.
Or you did paper plates?
My mother would never allow that. Are you kidding? My dad and James and John threatened to throw my mom's dishes down to the basement instead of putting them back. Because, I need this gravy boat.
Yeah. So there you go. All right. Well, it sounds like it was a good Christmas for you. Prospero, how was your Christmas? And New Year's and all that stuff?
Quiet, which was nice. That was perfectly fine with me. Football was watched, food was eaten. You know, it was kind of an ordinary Christmas. It was just fine. It was ridiculously warm, which has made...
Didn't look too warm on I-95 today.
Yeah, it didn't look too warm yesterday either.
That's good.
Pretty horrible. A lot of people were stuck there overnight. Yeah, they waited too late to close the road. It caught a lot of people. All it takes, you know, and it was closed basically from Dumfries, which you know roughly, you know.
What we're talking about, by the way, chat, is the major artery that basically goes on the east coast of the United States from Florida to Maine. And this is the Interstate 95, known by many, many names up and down the East Coast. This is the part that goes between roughly Richmond and Washington, D.C., or actually Springfield, Virginia, which is the town that
if you say
passes through.
Yeah, and it changes names to beltways and whatnots. But
it's Shirley Highway for those of us. For us back in the day.
Pretty much everybody just calls it hell now.
Yeah, no kidding. So,
but it was closed. It was closed from just a little bit south of what you would consider the mixing bowl, which is where everything kind of joins on its approach to DC.
That interchange at
Springfield, Franconia.
At Springfield is the largest volume of concrete ever poured for a highway interchange. It broke the record of the one in China.
I'm sure it did, because when they reworked the mixing bowl the third time, which is its current iteration, it's just extraordinary. The exits that are fly bridges and
Now they say that that was an expansion plan.
Yeah, it was absolutely necessary because the rework they had done, God, in the 70s or 80s,
The mixing bowl that we're talking about
didn't hold up.
is about a mile from where I went to high school, from my high school.
Yeah.
And it used to be this simple little interchange. They called it the Franconia Road exit off of Shirley Highway. There was no inner beltway, no outer beltway. There was just what is now the inner beltway, I guess.
It's the conjoining of 495, 395, and 95, basically.
Right.
Now.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's funny because one of the malls that's right nearby there is Landmark. You know,
Landmark's still there. Yeah.
You spot Landmark, but if you're trying to get to Springfield Mall, may God have mercy on your soul if you're coming from the north. It's, you know, it did used to be pretty easy. You flew across the Woodrow Wilson Bridge, you hit Shirley Highway, life was cool.
Yep.
And there were trees, and now it is 8 lanes.
Wall to wall urban sprawl.
Oh God, wall to wall pavement,
garbage.
and it was wall to wall cars and wrecks and people sitting. Parts of 495 and 95 in the DC Metro immediately area were closed.
Well, they had people,
and then I-95 was
DoorDash to be delivered on the highway.
Oh yeah,
telling the DoorDash people what surface
mile
roads,
markers,
and what mile marker they're at, and what surface road to go. Then jump over this fence, come down the hill, and I'm the 4th car back, and I have not moved in 6 hours.
Oh yeah, I mean Tim Kaine was part of the crowd.
Somebody said, Tim Kaine was in that. Oh, that would have been horrible. And Greg Gutfeld looks up and says, "No, what would have been horrible would have been to a passenger in the car." With Tim Kaine.
Yeah, that's a gospel truth. But anyway,
listen to him for 10 hours.
The Dumfries Manassas exit.
All
the way to Carmel Church, which is well south of Fredericksburg. Like 4 exits south of Fredericksburg, was closed.
On the map, the thing was red all the way. It was solid red from Washington to Richmond. Richmond.
Oh yeah. Well, at 7 o'clock in the morning, I was watching the news, and they were already having trouble about 2 exits above where 295 belts around Richmond and rejoins 95, which is just below Ashland, Virginia. At that particular exit, they were already they were already having trouble. And I thought, if anybody had cut on the goddamn news yesterday or paid attention to the forecast, which had talked about heavier snow between Fredericksburg and DC, then they might have thought twice before they got on friggin' I-95.
How much snow fell that it back?
Well, what happened?
I knew about the backup.
What happened, Jenna, is we had torrential rain, and then a cold front came in, and when it came in very, very quickly, and it came in with winds, and it chilled the roads down that were nice and damp, and then it began to snow like Billy be damned on top of it, and the snow immediately began to stick. You know, they had initially said about the storm, the ground will be too warm. It's only going to accumulate on grass.
No, it sticks to ice real well.
And it just was a shit show. Yeah. And it was taking down trees because it was a heavy, wet snow on top of already wet branches, many of which had begun to ice. So it was interesting.
There you go. So anyway,
there goes Harry with his video of the idiot.
Wait.
Guy on ice trying to move a trash can.
This is wonderful. This is so special. Yep. Come on, buddy.
Oh,
You
I
got
started
this.
playing with
You
sound.
got
I'm
this.
sorry.
Oh,
I just filled
whoa. Okay. Got this. Totally got this. Totally got this. Oh, Akfe.
Just a microcosm of what happened on the
Yes.
freeway.
Yep. That's
Yeah.
that's the one.
I have that
was,
jacket.
I was just coming to you, Harry. How is the snow out there and where you live?
Oh, we had 0 inches. It was great.
0 inches again.
0 inches of snow again.
That's how much I had.
Yeah. Guess how much, or that's how much?
That's how much.
Oh. Well, you had other problems. So I heard Scott Adams talking about this morning, and
Yes.
he was telling a story about how he was a dumb kid and he got in a car one time and ended up on a road with no jacket, in the snow, stranded, oughta died. And so he says, so then I moved to California, so that's not an issue. I can go outside without worrying about dying.
It gets
And-
cold at night.
I'm like, dude, for a guy who likes to, make charts and use whiteboards and figure shit out, do you think if there was a major earthquake that the amount of time you'd be spending on the road would be less than this?
Yeah.
I mean, no, it doesn't matter where you live. You always have to keep a kit with your basics there.
Yes.
You need at least 3 days of medications. You need to change underwear. You need get some good wipes so you can keep yourself clean. Some deodorant. Just a basic get home kit.
Yep.
And anybody who says I was stuck in traffic and I didn't have any food, and it's like, shut up.
Water and protein bars, idiot.
Yeah, because 99% of the people who are saying that are not going to learn a damn thing from.
We don't do
You're
that
absolutely right.
in the East because we don't have the earthquakes like you guys do. And so the emergency preparedness stuff on the East Coast is primarily in anticipation of hurricane season.
I thought you were going to say
And
Democrats.
nor'easters.
and nor'easters for New England. And nor'easters in coastal areas along the South, but it's still...
But there is still motivation for putting some kind of emergency kit in your car. I mean, the thing I do with Brenda, we got a first aid kit, some literally protein bars, those little Nature Valley granola things, and a bunch of water, and she also keeps diaper wipes. They're what you use to clean babies with.
That's a good idea.
And they're just so handy for little things like that, and that can make the difference in being really, truly, completely miserable, or even in a dangerous situation, and being able to get home in relative comfort and peace of mind.
Yeah,
But it's a
It's so
flashlight,
easy to
a
do.
poncho, a
Yes.
poncho, a space blanket. If you're in a place where it can get cold, you can get one of those Mylar space blanket, sleeping bags, but just something, because you never know when you're going to be stranded, and you don't want to be waiting for good luck to happen. You need to make your luck ahead of time.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. The interesting thing is, excuse me, Jenna, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, tell I'm married to a military man without telling I'm married to a military man. Each row of our car, we have assigned seating for the kids, and in each row there is a change of clothes, a sweatshirt, blanket, an MRI,
MRE.
thank you, and protein bars, and a jug of water per a person's age in each row. And then in the trunk is not a generator, but a power source that you have to charge up. And the real emergency stuff.
Oh, a gun. Oh, no.
Well, that's usually on him.
Good.
But the car is so organized that the kids even know which bag they can get into. If we're traveling for a 6 hour to go to Maine or whatever, they can take a blanket out of this bag, but they can't touch the emergency thing because then they won't have what they need. And then they'll, as their father will tell them, they'll be put out of the car and die.
You still have enough to field a football team.
Yeah, that's
And
really
a
the
practice
Christian
Strong parenting going on.
Yeah, no, that's really the Christian way. But that's
Fear of God. Well, even since we got even since we got a whole home generator, as a quilt would wear out, like a comforter.
Are you talking about an illegal climate changer?
Yes, except mine runs on NG, not gas. But that's okay. The that looks like tablet, Scottish tablet.
The picture?
Yeah.
Can you embiggen that, Skep?
Yeah, I was.
It really looks like tablet to me.
Yeah, so I agree with every single thing you said, Jenna, except for your consideration, you might want to consider one change. These are the kinds of things that the Coast Guard approves for, like storing on a boat. So they're meant to deal with heat and bad treatment and that sort of stuff. MREs, if they get hot, like sitting in the car, go off pretty quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And they're already pretty miserable. And it's pretty easy to get kids to eat what it basically is a lemon shortbread.
Those actually look a lot like delicacy dessert that's from Afghanistan. It looks very much
I know
like
what
it.
I know what you're talking about. But this is 3,600 calories. You get 9 bars for $19. If you look at the cost of MREs and entrees and all the hassle, you don't need, these aren't thirst provoking. You don't need the extra kit that comes with the full MREs. You don't need all of that stuff. In an emergency, these are great because they will just hold up in the car a lot longer than the other things. And so ultimately they cost you less money. And your goal is to never eat them, right? So what do you care? I mean, in a perfect world, you just throw them out. You can get 9 of these for $19, and there's 3,600 calories. So for the kids, one of these would feed 2 of them for a day.
Well, I was
This
just
is
thinking
like lembas bread.
one for each row
Sorta.
would be able to
Mhm.
last.
And you can subdivide it
days.
easily without tools. You basically just open it up. Here, have some lemon shortbread.
I'm going to take a screenshot of that.
I can just send you the link.
What? Yeah.
Or you could send me the link.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, I'll stop hijacking. Your
No,
show.
no.
But I thought,
You're part of the show. I want you to hijack.
I thought you
Would
might.
I'm fascinated by this.
Would you be kind
Ooh,
enough
and
to
it's light.
Yeah.
Would you be kind enough to place that link in my DMs as well,
in
and
the
also
chat.
in the chat?
Yeah.
Well,
chat would be
you know,
good.
the thing is, this is just one. There's a whole bunch of them.
Oh
and I
yeah, but
haven't-
you've got it linked to it in Amazon thing, and if people want to research, this gives them a starting place.
Yeah, I can certainly do that.
That's what I was thinking. And
Oh, look, it's gone over to a different picture.
fascinating. Yeah.
Stay there. I will do that. Thank you.
What is that? Cameron's? Grizzly? You were by Cameron's? Is that what that says?
Yeah, that's just rebranded. There's a bunch of them, and they're all pretty much the same. U.S. Coast Guard approved. The Coasties approved, which means, if you... Because anytime you leave them in the car, it doesn't take much time in the summer for those things to just lose years of their life if they're regular MREs.
Yeah. Jamie wouldn't have to
Keep replacing them.
rotate them out every, if we have a heat wave.
No, just
Yes,
buy a new
yeah.
box every 5 years. And just be done with it. Like, again, it's a different thing. You're not planning on ever eating them, right? It's
No.
sort of like insurance. It's like I paid all this money for insurance that I never used.
Well, you go
Good.
ahead. You go ahead and you divide them into very small slices at 4 years and 200 and some days when you replace them, and everybody gets to taste what the yummy, yummy survival food tastes.
And they're not terrible.
No, I mean, food is food. You know, I mean, if somebody's going to be
If you're hungry, you're hungry.
right, if somebody's going to get picky about survival rations, they're they're in a world of hurt.
Well, if you would take me off the full screen, I will I'll put the link together.
I will do that. So that's a Coast Guard approved lembas bread.
Yeah, basically.
Things you never thought you'd talk about on your show, but here we are. That's wonderful. So, yeah, it's been an eventful time. I know that just as we're getting the show started here, I know that everybody will want to send best wishes to Weebo Jones, who managed to get into an argument with a dog that had teeth, and the dog evidently was losing the argument, so it bit Weebo's lips off, which was bad. Oh yeah, dog attacked her. She's got stitches all in both upper and lower lips, and just it was a mess. And she's had a rough go of it. So let Weebo know you're thinking about her.
Poor thing,
guys. And it was really pretty awful. I know that the pictures of her have been going around, and it looks like it was a pretty rough go of it. And we wish her the best. We wanted to get well fast, and we also don't want to pry into her life and expose a bunch of details. But she is a friend of a lot of us, and I knew you guys would want to know about that. I didn't know if it had been talked about on the show last night, so wanted to get that out there. And let's see, any other things that I wanted to cover. Yeah, it's been an interesting time. Does anybody get the feeling that the arc of the COVID thing is really changing in a pretty profound way right now?
Yes.
Clearly.
Harry, how do you think it's changing?
Well, a combination of burnout plus people eventually coming around to believe what their lying eyes tell them is starting to get people to sort of go, okay, enough of this.
Right.
I've been seeing headlines in the news. Maybe you can tell me if I'm wrong about this. Talking about a fourth stimulus check.
Yes, there are a fair number of states that are doing that.
You got to be kidding me.
No, absolutely
Why
not.
do they need a fourth?
Because they need to buy people's favor.
Yep.
They need to buy votes.
If you want to extend unemployment benefits for people who are actively looking, okay, we could have that discussion. But why they're just sending out more checks to people, I don't know. It's really just sort of, remember who your friends are.
Absolutely.
I think the reason that they're just sending the checks out is because determining whether or not somebody's actively looking for a job or just kicking back and telling you that that's what they're doing is a very difficult thing. I mean, from the standpoint of the people who manage those programs, they have a lot of different requirements, but those requirements are easy enough to meet without actually going out and looking for a job. Typically, the requirement is that you report on at least 3 job-seeking contacts every week in order to remain eligible, and you have to write those down and under penalty of perjury and all this other stuff. So you're supposed to tell the truth. Well, people simply just lie their asses off, and nobody checks on it, because there's no mechanism in place to go back and audit in some systematic way whether or not somebody is actually even leaving their home or even making any effort at all, doing anything but playing games online. And so they said, well, heck with it. We'll just send out checks to everybody, and they'll remember us kindly at the ballot box. I really do think when I said buying votes, I wasn't really being too far from the truth. I think that's almost literally true.
Yep.
Remember the 1600?
Yeah, Virginia.
I'm sorry?
The 1600?
And then everyone was mad because
they
they had gotten 200 or 300 or something.
We'd gotten 600 before, wasn't it 600? It was supposed to be 2,200 total, and everybody just got a smaller check.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like
Some of us did
About
not get any
1,200.
check at all
Mm-hmm.
because we're veterans.
Virginia isn't doing any stimulus, and if you're looking
Nope.
for work and you're in the trades, come to Virginia, you'll find work. There are a number of understaffed, underemployed locations in this state.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people because the excuses have been created for them
Mm-hmm.
who are not availing themselves of these opportunities because they don't have to. And somebody needs to go Denmark on them.
Well,
Because everybody
that's not going to happen.
everybody knows anything about unemployment knows what happened in Denmark. After unlimited unemployment became too costly for the Danish, they said, well, guess what? We're now limiting it and it will end X day. And amazingly, everybody went to work.
Yeah, I don't want the deserving poor to
But
get
go figure.
screwed by all this, because
No.
as much as I'm, fully on with the free market, there's always been some kind of system to deal with the deserving poor. And by always, I mean back the year 1000, there was some sort of system
Oh, sure.
to deal with
Almshouses.
taking care. Yeah, they would have some sort of housing for people who are legitimately imbeciles.
Mhm.
Yep.
They would have some. The church would do some of it. The governments would do it. Lots of different solutions.
Yep.
I don't want to see, much like the whole opioid crisis. I don't want to see people who need pain relief not get pain relief because some people have trouble managing their stuff.
Yeah, punishing the innocent because other people are venal
Yeah.
or weak or
Yeah.
whatever.
Harry, when are you going to get it through your head?
Mhm.
The guns kill people. People don't kill people.
Mhm.
And opiates jump down your
And
throat.
pencils
It's not
misspelled.
people. It's not people taking the pills. It's the pills actually injecting themselves into people's throat very suddenly.
I miss
There's
Johnny
no defense
Cochran
against
at a time like this, because he would come up with a great defense to go with what you're talking about.
Yes. It flew right in their mouth.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
Chewbacca is a Wookiee from Endor,
Yeah.
it just doesn't make any sense.
Yes.
He was the Michael Eric Dyson of lawyers.
Yeah, but I do think, back to your original question, that everybody's starting. Well, okay, we go back to the beginning of the pandemic, and people would say, well, what about the flu? Do you actually know anybody who died from the flu? And most people couldn't really pinpoint anybody they ever knew that died from the flu. We started questioning all those numbers. It's
Mhm.
pretty easy to find somebody who's died from COVID.
Yep.
Not just with COVID, coincidentally, and I'm not talking about the overall statistics.
My
but-
first cousin
Yeah.
cousin died from the first wave of COVID.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know anybody personally who did, but I know people who know people. It's like 2 degrees of separation.
Yeah.
Right. So
Yeah,
I know
sure.
that it's like a real thing, but hopefully what we're seeing with better treatment and Omicron taking over is this is COVID 2021 in my layperson's opinion. I think this thing's evolved to the point where calling it COVID-19 almost doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And the beautiful thing is that the studies coming out of South Africa
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
that if you get Delta, those antibodies don't do you any good whatsoever in terms of fighting Omicron. But if you get Omicron, you actually get a significant amount of resistance to Delta.
Yeah, it runs the other way.
It runs the other way. It's like you couldn't have wished for a better solution to this problem.
An
obliging herd immunity event. The interesting
heaven.
data in South Africa too was the relative mildness of symptoms among people who came down with Omicron because most of them had been exposed to and contracted the wild type,
Mm-hmm.
which type A, the very first COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
So there was something about the antibodies for exposure to the first wave that has been helpful. and diminishing the severity of Omicron, at least in South Africa. And the data is bearing out, that Omicron is displacing is the term, Delta, significantly in Great Britain. When they're doing the typing, the Danes are leading the world as far as doing the typing, but they have so many cases now that they can't do the specific typing.
I think we can pretty much just assume where you're seeing a big
based
spike,
on
it's
symptoms.
Omicron.
Yeah, and when you're seeing severe illness and death, is a lot of carryover from Delta.
Yeah, I'm sorry about what Ghost Dog said. He had somebody close to him die from it. What I'm hoping is that the gaslighting's going to wear off, because it's going to go from everybody knows somebody who died from it to when was the last time you heard about anybody dying from this? And that's the transition that I'm hoping we're about to make.
I certainly hope so, because I know John Campbell had mentioned that healthcare professionals are very superstitious. You never walk in for your shift in the ER and go, gosh, it seems awfully quiet around here, because that's just begging for inundation. But everyone was so cautiously optimistic in December in South Africa, and it has carried forward into January. And obviously, the CDC, by changing its isolation protocols for Omicron, are not seeing data that is alarming them, one would assume, because it's very difficult to get anything other than interpreted data through the CDC. Their website's trash, as far as really digging into numbers, because just like the Brits, because if somebody's had COVID within the last 28 days and they die, they're listed as a COVID death because they tested positive within 28 days.
Well, that's why I was focusing on individuals rather than statistics.
And that's garbage record keeping, if you know what I mean.
Well, that's the number they use to justify all the money they're spending. They use those numbers to say, look, we were right. We didn't overreact.
It feeds the fuel of terrorizing people. And, they keep talking about hospitals having so many people. Well, yeah, I was speaking to a nurse Christmas Eve, and she floats between hospitals, and she's picking up overtime hand over fist. And she's like, well, from my standpoint, if you got a sniffle, come on in. I'm making bank on you. She said, for Christ's sake, pretty much everybody we're seeing, we couldn't tell the difference between a common cold and what they're talking about. But she said, they've ginned up the panic. And she said, and it's cha-ching for me. I mean, it's a very cynical way of looking at it, but it's the gospel truth.
Yeah, stop testing little kids. If they've got anything that looks like a cold or COVID or whatever, just keep them home, give them chicken soup. Don't worry about using up the small number of tests that we have available. They went through this big thing about, everybody's going to get tests. There's going to be millions and millions of tests because Biden's going to pull them out of his ass, wipe them off and go, ta-da, And now all of a sudden we went from having tests available to people not being able to get them as readily.
Well,
but there's no federal solution.
Well, there's a testing facility, a test kit manufacturing facility that the Biden administration is creating, don't you know? That's coming online in 2024.
At least that's what it's projected to right now, assuming that there's no strike by the union contractors.
If the fucking government had gotten out of the way, private industry could have built one by now. But
they brought gas prices down by a few cents, and didn't they have a meeting the other day where they're going to do something to bring down the cost of beef? Because when I think lower price beef, I think Joe Biden.
That's
when
the
I think
first thing
of
that jumps to my mind.
Yeah, is
When
when
I
I think,
think
how do I
of-
make something less expensive? I think let's get Joe
Sure.
on the case.
well, something that
Yeah.
comes out of cows makes me think of him. But
Bulls especially,
yes,
particularly.
you know, this idea that, you know, it takes until 2024 from 2021 to build a test kit
Takes a
creation
village.
facility annoys me. It reminds me of the what was it the Northridge earthquake? What was it in LA, Harry?
Cal Northridge.
That's one of them. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it collapsed part of the I-5.
Oh yeah.
And it ended up being a private contractor who rebuilt that stretch of the interstate. And it came in under budget, under time, and meeting all standards. It wasn't Cal Dot that did it.
Well, we have more than a little bit of experience with stuff falling down on our roadways here.
Yeah.
I remember after Loma Prieta, there was a guy who used to be on KGO, which is one of the big radio stations in the U.S. at the time. There were only a handful that were like these 50,000 watt behemoths, and KGO was one of them. And so at night they'd have this guy, Dr. Bill Wattenberg, who was one of the Manhattan Project guys. And so he'd come on there being smart and old and cranky, and just start talking about. He'd just start talking about how we should need to come up with creative solutions to these kinds of problems. Like, you think we could just take some railway cars and just do this, bada bing, bada boom. You're getting people across the road. Maybe not at 55 miles an hour, but you're getting people across the roadway. And that kind of willingness to do things on the fly just doesn't seem to exist much anymore. Doctors are just too cowed. Engineers are too scared. Nobody's really got that kind of creative gumption to actually fix anything when circumstances get bad. And this is what worries me about humanity. I kind of feel like we're becoming less flexible. We're losing sort of mental elasticity. All the creative energy is being driven out of our engineers.
Well, thank trial lawyers for that.
Yeah.
Because it's
You're not wrong.
no, I'm not. We need tort reform, and we need it yesterday. We needed it 10 years ago. It's nonsensical, the amount of regulatory hoops that the government applies to begin with, and then what people do to cover their asses because of concern of liability, because trial lawyers have been able to conjure from thin air amazing facts that will convince idiots on juries that somebody's responsible for acts of God or circumstances. Yes, I'm looking at the suit against Roundup on that one. It's utterly circumstantial, but fine. And it stifles innovation because people are afraid to innovate. They can't make their money back on any project they build.
Oh, it's
if a fault is found in the project.
It's worse than that.
If you can hear me.
Causes. You're coming through real chattery.
Yeah. Say exterminate.
Yeah, Alexander. Say Alexander
Perfect.
or exterminate.
Oh my God! Yeah, that's terrible.
You're Dalek-ing. You're not roboting.
You're a Dalek. Yeah.
Yeah, you're. Think we better work on your. We cannot understand you, Jenna. Need to come up with a microphone solution, I think.
All right. I'll be back.
At any
Okay.
no, still cannot understand you.
She said, "All right, I'll be back."
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
I speak gargle speak.
Yeah.
So there's a
Better
ton
than I
of
do.
like really important stuff going on, and I don't know if we want to, how much time you as host want to spend on each topic. I do have like a super light unimportant thing.
Yeah. What's on your mind?
I think let's see, is Assassin of the Gray in the?
I haven't
chat?
seen him. I've not
Damn,
seen him.
he's
I've been
gonna
watching.
he's gonna miss this. This is gonna be unfortunate for him.
It's okay.
So there's I'm constantly looking for something good to watch because I just need something to drown out the voices in my head sometimes. And there was a sci-fi thing, which I guess it's some CW show called Pandora that's had 2 seasons. I started watching this thing on Amazon Video.
Mhm.
Oh my God, this thing is terrible. It is like
I'm amazed.
so they have like this sort of ethnically ambiguous female protagonist, and she's pretty Mary Sue. I mean, it's better than Star Trek Discovery, which isn't saying much. But all of the men behave like children. All of the women are noble and wonderful. It's like MacGuffin time, you know. So every episode of this
Right.
show where she's in like Space Academy is just sort of MacGuffin time. But she's on a tear to figure out who killed her parents, and she
Okay,
doesn't
so
really
this-
care who she steps on or what she does. She thinks this gives her carte blanche to go wandering into areas where classified military things are taking place. It's
Right.
it's terrible. It's absolutely terrible, and I can't
This is-
stop hate watching it.
This is Priscilla Quintana as
Yeah.
Jacqueline Jax Zhu.
Mhm.
So, we have the Chinese surname, a French beginning name, and kind of a modern Jax contraction in between. And she also known as Pandora, a young woman whose parents were killed in a surprise attack on a planet colony they were living on, and who arrives to Earth Space Training Academy as a student, but soon discovers there are things about herself she doesn't know or understand.
Yeah,
Dun dun dun.
yeah, it's pretty terrible. But I've been hate watching season 1 just because sometimes I find a show that's just so bad that I can't look away.
Yes, this looks just like that. Oh
As
my
opposed
God.
to Enterprise, or not Enterprise, STD, which made me just angry because they were shitting all over my favorite thing.
Mhm.
But this is like, I have no emotional investment in this whatsoever. I just want to see what horrible thing the CW put out and claimed was sci-fi. It's just terrible. The writing is absolutely abysmal. And as they just jump from MacGuffin to MacGuffin to MacGuffin.
Oh boy, I'm reading this. With Ray Lindsley, they steal a spaceship and travel to where she hopes to find some clues. What?
Yeah,
Is that
yeah,
written
because
by
there'll
a
be no
5-year-old?
repercussions, no repercussions from stealing a spaceship.
Right. She finds Xander, her uncle's teacher assistant, waiting for her. He wants to stop her from getting expelled. She defies him.
Guess what?
because she's a defiant,
He's
strong
dreamy.
female.
He's dreamy and pouty.
He's dreamy and pouty, but she defies him anyway because she's strong and womanly.
Yeah.
And walks down the cave until she reaches a mysterious MacGuffin. I mean, portal.
Yeah.
And she enters the portal, dragging Xander with her because that's what you do.
Yep.
But soon after that, they hear gunfire outside and quickly head back through the porthole to find themselves under attack.
Yeah.
So they heard the gunfire through the portal. Okay.
Yeah. It just happened that it was coincident with her walking through the portal.
I see.
Yeah.
Oh man, and so back to the academy. Professor Osborne tells his assistant they must stop Pandora before she becomes responsible for the death of every human being in existence.
Are you?
I think if human beings watch this show, they would yearn for death.
Are you sure this isn't like fanfic project?
Oh, it's basically fanfic turned into. It's
sounds
really bad, really bad.
dreadful. I mean, it really does sound like teenage girl fanfic.
Yeah, well, I guess the CW, I shouldn't really expect more from them. I'm just hard up for something that for good sci-fi, and I don't want to invest the time of binge watching the last 3 seasons of The Expanse. And with all due respect to Functional and everybody else who loves that show, it's not quite that good. It's good.
This does not look like good science fiction.
Oh no.
But so many of the episode names are music titles. Chimes of Freedom,
Mhm.
Masters of War, I Shall Be Released, Time Out of Mind. It Ain't Me, Babe. I'll Be Your Baby Tonight. Knocking on Heaven's Door. Simple Twist of Fate. Last two are Dylan. Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. Also Dylan. On a Night Like This, I mean, fully 50% of the episode names are names of songs that I know.
The others are probably names of songs you don't know.
Yeah, but I was just going to say maybe it's all of them, and that's just
So it's somebody's
them.
it's somebody's Pandora playlist, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, it's
No, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it's pretty terrible, and it all goes to the same thing. It's like, why can't we have nice things anymore? People just don't really seem to take chances. Everything is formulaic. They decided who the target audience is, and then they worked backwards with a checklist. It's terrible.
It is. The filming for Pandora took place in Bulgaria.
Oh, did it now? They couldn't even afford. They couldn't even afford to film it in British Columbia or outside of Toronto. Cool.
That's interesting. Okay, let's see. Yeah, the filming took place in Bulgaria, and they don't really have much information here. I'm just looking at the Wikipedia thing real quick. Critical response. Daniel Feinberg of The Hollywood Reporter criticized the show for some of the cheapest and flattest looking visuals he had ever seen, adding, "There's no character I particularly like, no relationship that seems particularly interesting, and no mystery embedded in the pilot to which I would like to get any answer." The review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes reported a 14% approval rating. So you're in that 14% there, Harry, that I assume you approve of it, right?
Yeah, I'm so happy there's a season 2 to look forward to as well. This thing actually has a second season. And all I can think is that it's part of some diversity quota they've put together.
Oh my God.
We need so many people in different checkboxes involved in production of these things.
It's either that or they're back to paying off their drug debts this way, the way they did in the 80s.
But I think you're right about the fan fiction thing. It actually kind of reminds me of like bad anime, because they even have one episode that ends up being kind of like the "Let's all go to the beach" episode. You know, because this is like the worst thing in a lot of anime stuff is they do these things where, 15-year-old Japanese boy goes to some other place and accumulates a harem of girls. And then around episode 8, they all end up going to the beach. It's just terrible. And this is why anime is garbage.
Can I ask how I sound now?
You sound fine.
You sound
Much better.
Much better. Thank you, Jenna. You sound great.
I connected to my phone with my device, with my headphones.
Well,
I'm back to the older days.
You're coming through loud and clear, and it sounds very good. So we just like to be able to hear your dulcet voice, your dulcet tones of your voice, whatever I'm trying to say. So anyway,
yes, I wanted to bring that up for Assassin's sake, but somebody just needs to let him know that he desperately needs to watch Pandora for an example of how not to do his writing.
Okay, I'm sure somebody will get that word to him. If nobody else, I'll do it.
Okay,
but that'll be interesting. So, funny thing happened. Really over the last couple of days is a friend of mine, David Schoen, and I got into a really rather civil debate about various things with something called the Best of the Left. As a result, we're going to be on a podcast tomorrow talking about abortion of all things, looks like. And that ought to be interesting. I don't, it's not like it's a thorny or controversial topic.
No.
Kind of vanilla, a little bit mayonnaise, but we'll get it knocked out. We'll get that solved out pretty easy, I think.
It'll be interesting to listen to.
Yes, it will. It will be very interesting because one of the hardest things, and I didn't necessarily want to talk about abortion on the show tonight, but one of the hard things about that is getting everybody to define their terms honestly and stick to those definitions. And to do so, you can't go in, if you want to have a good discussion, in my opinion, you can't go in with like an agenda that you're going to subvert it and, just go for killer lines, the kill shot. But if you go in legitimately trying to understand the other guy's argument, you can argue your points more successfully. That's always been my point of view, and I expect that they'll pursue that. They'll want to know what underpins my point of view, David's point of view, and I don't necessarily think that David's and my point of view are the same. So I think it'll be a very interesting time. At any rate, I'll be posting the link tomorrow and tell you. But it's going to be at 5:00 Eastern time, 4:00 Central time, and should be a pretty good time.
Sounds great.
Yeah. So anyway, what else has happened since, does anybody else just think it's absolutely reprehensible the way that Joe Biden just said, there's no federal solution to this. I'm out of here. I'm going to Delaware.
No, I think it's good for him to finally tell the truth.
Well, it is true. But the way that he did that, to just toss it off as a one-liner like that, he should have sat down with the American people and for 20 minutes explained to us why he's been lying this whole time. Why he and his administration have lied to us this whole time, have taken it upon themselves to, do a half-assed job of mitigating this problem and then just punt like that. I think that was, I don't see why the left is not freaking out about that.
The left is too busy freaking out about how they're not going to get all of their special programs that they want to spend money on. They've already decided they don't care about what Biden does. They just want to replace him.
Yeah, they're also the ones I saw fielding it pivoted immediately to, well, if Trump hadn't lied, so many people wouldn't have died in the first place.
What did Trump lie about?
Well, he lied, don't you know? He told everybody it was a hoax, even though he said no such thing. That's what they all heard.
Also, he said fine people.
Yeah, that hoax too.
Oh,
Don't forget about that. So.
Yeah,
he also was racist and shut down all air from
no.
China. Why?
That never. He did. He. Nobody ever complained about that, and he waited too long to do it. And
even with Nancy and
even with everybody telling everyone to go celebrate Chinese New Year, yes,
Yeah, go hug a Chinese person day.
yes.
I sometimes I forget that my memories are what actually happened, not what actually happened in Democrat mind.
Well, that's how gaslighting works.
Yes.
No. I did not. You're not. The lights are not dimming and then coming back up, dear. They're not dimming and then coming back up. You're seeing things.
Yeah.
Darn it. And I just got the okay to be a brain surgeon.
Oh, well. It is in the blind squirrel, he got it right finally, that there is no federal solution to a contagious virus. That's lovely. Then would you like to explain the federal mandates, please, sir? That was the thing that I thought was great. There's no federal solution. See you, bye. Hold on. You've been justifying a large number of acts, your entire party has been justifying a large number of acts by its friends, relatives, and governors. And magically now, there's no federal solution.
Yeah, he didn't really prepare the nation for this sudden revelation that.
No, he just dropped it and left.
I'm not exactly sure he knew that he was going to say it.
Oh, that one they probably they don't want this on their plate for 2022 midterms. They don't want to be holding that bag.
Yeah.
And because he had grabbed the bag and said, I'm going to hand out all the candy in this bag, and then found out the bag was full of shit. Now that they know that, they're just going to drop the bag and pretend they never had it and tell us that it never happened. I mean, I expect the gaslighting going into the midterms is going to be spectacular.
They're going to turn up the gas.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm inviting Charles Boyer over for dinner every day.
Yeah. The children will not understand that
that's okay.
reference, but that's okay. Shroom, welcome, bud. Nice to see you, man.
Good evening, everyone.
Hey
Good
there,
evening.
Shroom.
Hello.
Hello, Miss Jenna, Prospero, Harry. How y'all doing tonight?
Doing good.
Shroom, did you have a good Christmas?
The wife was happy. The grandchildren was happy. That made me ecstatic.
Oh, you
No.
have grandchildren?
Well, grandchild.
That counts. Your
I've-
wife sounds
I've
like
got
mine.
a
That's those are the
three-year-old
people I
grandson
try and
there.
keep happy too. You have a 3-year-old grandson?
Yes.
Does he live close to you?
Yeah. In fact, we babysit him every other weekend.
Excellent. Outstanding.
Oh.
That's
Do you
when
take
I say-
all
When I say
grandchildren? Or
babysit, I mean we get him on Saturday and he stays until Sunday afternoon.
so is this an open invitation for anyone who has children that would be younger than you?
That would be up to the wife.
All right. Well,
You're petitioning the wrong person, it sounds like.
She's trying to sucker you.
The-
Don't
the-
fall for it.
Yeah,
She
limits
has
may apply.
34 of them.
I'm not going to drop off the ones that are capable to do stuff. I'll drop off more 3-year-olds. Oh my goodness, your grandson could have 3 best friends.
And see, that's the age group my wife works with every day.
Ah. Can I ask what your wife does?
She works with EEC, early education and childhood.
Very cool.
Fun. Does she like it?
You know what? She's been doing it for 25 years now.
I'm going to go with yes.
Yes.
I'm glad
She-
to know when I send you my children that they'll still be held to, say please, thank you, don't kick. I like this new
What?
relationship we just made.
Well, my grandson has learned your grandpa's hand fits his butt as well as it fit his father's.
That's the
Good.
thing. It's the gift that keeps on giving.
That it does.
It gets a little trickier when they get to be about 12 or 13, and you have to reason with them.
Yeah,
Can't reason with them.
the threats just become more promises than.
Yeah. I actually use a lot of threat modification with my grandchildren, and occasionally somewhat of an active hand in getting a chance to be with them and help guide them. All you can do is, if you threaten them and they mess up, you've got to follow through. That's the thing that I learned from just raising my own kids is that if you don't follow through, they will totally take advantage of you.
Well, when they hit
Oh, yeah.
26, you have to stop because then they say, I should probably point out that there's going to come a point where it's up to me whether you're putting a home or not. So you definitely want to have a balanced approach to these things.
Yeah.
Now, about the time my son hit 13 was the time that I started unplugging televisions and game stations and stuff, and left the equipment in his room and locked the cables up in my truck.
Oh, Jenna's got you beat. Jenna, tell him what you do.
I've taken electricity.
Didn't you take a door off of the room one time too?
Well,
I've
we've
also taken everything but the sheets and the blanket.
Yeah. Yes. You basically strip the room, right?
Jenna's
Yep.
hardcore.
Yes, she is.
I just
No,
love
I've done the door trick.
I love
I-
the fact that they throw the circuit to the room.
Mm.
I mean, there is no electricity in that room, and they are confined therein.
Oh, they're not allowed to step out.
Well, they don't. They unless they have a chamber pot, they at least need bathroom privileges down the hall.
There's a bathroom connected to their bedroom.
They have an ensuite. Well, they have no reason to leave anyway.
Yes, but they have nothing to do.
Some
And
of
the
people I talk
bathroom-
with
Did they at
Twitter
least
would
get bread
consider
and
that
water?
a permanent living situation.
Yeah.
Oh, they get fed 3 meals a day.
Eats and sheets.
Eats and sheets, yeah.
Is what I call that. And I've actually gone. The two oldest grandchildren both have had their doors removed, and the oldest one, we basically told him to hit the road. We didn't want to see him again, and we're done with him. So, tough love is a thing.
Yep.
Privacy
Well,
is
this
a
is the-
privilege, not a right.
Right.
Yes, and when you are a child, that is true.
Contact with us is also a privilege, not a right.
Yep.
When you're on the Jenna plantation.
Oh God.
The Jenna plantation.
Well,
So-
there was this horrible ad on TV. I remember it when I was like a teenager, and it was one of those give money to our traditionally black college things. And they had this
Sure.
scene that they played out, and it was like this.
A
guy-
mind is a terrible thing to
No,
waste.
it was terrible because they had this thing. And it was like this horrible white dude was saying, once you set foot on the Bodine plantation, you best set your mind to working. It's like, okay, we're going straight for a little morality play about slavery. That's what we're going.
Oh wow.
So give money to our college, bigot.
Well, do you remember the organization that was styled at the time the United Negro College Fund?
Yes.
I believe that was the organization that put that ad
Yeah.
out,
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
I
mind
did.
is a terrible thing to waste.
Mine is a terrible thing to waste.
which is
The
a great
United
Yeah, it is.
Negro.
College fund.
And
I have to already put my own black kids through school. Why do I have to put others?
Jenna, you're just terrible.
I know.
Well,
You have a pile of
tell
kids.
me-
I mean, I've got 6 grandkids, and that usually wins the day anywhere I go. You've got 6, yeah, and then I don't even have a quarter of as many children to deal with as not even 1/4 as many as Jenna does every day. So I don't know what to say.
we stole grandparents and don't let them leave. Except for, my dad, because my parents need money, apparently.
So does everybody live in like a big compound at your house, and are you building one of these really eccentric houses with hallways that just lead to other houses?
No, my parents and my parents-in-laws have their own private room and bathroom downstairs. My kids are on the same floor as James and I. They share. I know it's horrible, but they do share.
The short answer is yes.
No, because you can't do that where I live.
But it's the building code, the permit kind of thing that keeps you from doing that, because otherwise,
Dude,
you
yeah,
just
What they
colonize
don't-
that part of the area where you live.
yes.
It's what they don't know what we do in the inside to build is better.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So at any rate, well, Shroom, do you
Yes, sir.
do you disclose where you live? Publicly?
I live in this great southern state of Florida.
Okay, so you're not too concerned about the cold snap that affected Virginia so badly. Well, affected Texas too. We liked it so much we sent it to Virginia.
I woke up, I got off work Monday morning. When I left for work Monday afternoon, it was nice, sunny, 70 degrees. When I got off work, it was 50 degrees Monday morning. And this afternoon when I left for work, it was 47 degrees.
That's chilly for y'all.
Yeah.
It snowed it snowed at Mississippi State University,
Well,
which
it's just wrong.
is close.
It's just wrong.
It's close to mid.
Wrong.
They're at roughly same latitude as Birmingham, Alabama, and Atlanta, Georgia. So that's, it happens, but not often. It just, and I mean, it's hilarious to me to see the response. It has been for the 40 years that I've lived in Virginia. It's just so amusing to me to see snow hysteria here, because Cree went to the grocery store today and he said, oh my God, Publix had like 2 loaves of bread and that was it on the shelves. They will wipe out bread, milk, and eggs in this city.
Oh yeah.
And it is like,
yeah.
how many pieces of French toast are you making? I mean, it's just insane. I can understand when they're forecasting significant snow.
Mm-hmm.
Because even in New England, with a nor'easter forecast, people would stock up.
Yeah.
But they
Yeah,
wouldn't.
but that's also wind and stuff.
Well, we had significant wind with this storm
Oh.
too. Awful coastal flooding. Norfolk was a lot of Norfolk, Virginia was underwater. It's a mess. The streets were just flooded, impassable.
Oh, Assassin is here. I just want to point that out.
Yay.
Too late.
But the
Not too late.
We already talked about him.
I know. I just wanted to point it out. Go ahead, Prospero. I'm sorry, son.
but it's just there's this overreaction, and it's a peculiar set of things that they buy. I'm like, why aren't you buying like stew meat and carrots and potatoes and that kind of stuff, for hearty food, or, loading up on
Potatoes,
bags of beans and, things like that.
pasta.
No, it's milk, bread, and eggs. Now, I get if you've got 5 kids and you're making sandwiches, you're going to go through a loaf of bread like whoosh. And so a couple of days worth of bread is significant. But not all the people doing the buying are people with 5 children.
Of course, one of the things you may not be sensitive to because of the way that it is stocked. The other thing that they're also buying is cereal.
Yes.
People who buy milk buy cereal. This is a known buying.
Oh, yeah.
There's all kinds of equations that you get to negotiate in school.
Right before Christmas.
Talking about buying habits, and so they're buying cereal, and that's what's driving the milk purchases. It's not like a run on milkshakes or anything.
Well, yeah, and then the eggs and the bread, and it's before Christmas. I mean, before we had any snow at all, any significant cold weather, we couldn't find Rice Krispies in the store. I use them.
Okay.
I use them for
those cookie things,
cheese crackers. No, not the Rice Krispie treats. It's for savory product.
Okay.
Hey, we've had Rice Krispie treats for days upon days.
But
I have young children.
Right. I've made them twice in my life. I can't. It's too
They're
sweet.
gross.
They're awful. It's like peanut butter and marshmallow fluff. I've just never got
Yeah,
that.
but if you need to amuse a troop of Girl Scouts, that's
Yes.
the way. That's the way you do it.
It didn't amuse me when I was young.
When my wife was a Girl Scout leader, that's what she did. She did that kind of stuff, and it was those Rice Krispies, those terrible tasting
Awful shit.
marshmallow chocolate Rice Krispies, and something else that made them just hideous.
Yeah, it's just like drinking Carer syrup. It's awful.
They're really sweet. They really are.
They're awful. I didn't like them when I was young.
Yeah.
I made applesauce as a Girl Scout.
With a grenade or
no, coring.
I think I had a more adventurous Boy Scout.
Coring and paring apples. Yeah, I think you did too, and I would have preferred to have been a Boy Scout. I hated Girl Scouts. I hated every minute of it. It was just dreadful.
I'm with you.
It was one of those things my mother wanted me to do. And oh God, I loathed it and made it through a year of cadets. And I was like, I am done. No, you cannot make me.
Harry, were you ever in Scouts?
Nope. I never join anything. I never go anywhere. I never do anything.
Poor man.
Yeah.
How about you, Shroom? Were you in Scouts?
Yes, I was. I was the troop folded when I was getting ready to turn in my last merit badge for my Eagle.
Oh, really? So you were a life scout.
You're right. I was a life scout. Then I was a scout leader and on the console training team for several years.
So what was your opinion of Scouts? Did you obviously enjoy it? Making life that's an achievement. I made Star and actually had to exert myself a little bit to make Star. So life, I'm impressed.
Scouting back when I was in was a fantastic thing. Today, I wouldn't give plug nickel for it.
Really?
I think it depends on the troop because.
Now, when scouting, and this is my opinion, my opinion, when scouting started going co-ed at the Boy Scout troop level, and they actually now have Boy Scout troops that are 100% female.
That's not right.
I've got nothing to do with it. I want nothing to do with them.
Yeah.
I won't even donate to them anymore.
I didn't Eagle Scout technically, but that's only because I helped with my brothers and their friends with their projects and all that stuff. And I had done it so many times that it was a joke that I had my Eagle Scout because, cleaning out a smallpox graveyard and things like that I did for Eagle Scout projects.
Wow, that's a lot of work.
Yeah. I was a good friend.
So you were robbing graves?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
No, we were cleaning them out and make it so it wasn't, the people weren't forgotten. Actually, it's there was a small river that divided the Native Americans without smallpox and the Native Americans with smallpox. And if you got smallpox, you had to go over it, but they would drop off food at the campsite where the smallpox people were and all that kind of stuff. But they were just across the river. And you literally could swim across it and get to the other person, but it was the 1700s, so they didn't know better.
Oh, okay.
But it was a very, bringing that back to life and sharing their story and stuff
that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
That sounds. How long did you work on that?
It took 2 weekends and a couple after-school weekdays for me. But the person who was doing it, well, you don't know him, Danny. It took him.
How long did he work on it?
at least a month because
Okay,
he,
so wasn't like it was a 5-year project. It was like a month-long project.
yeah, but he
Okay.
got the town to allow us to hang a placard saying what had happened and their
that's
story.
Nice. That's nice. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
I was just teasing you about robbing the graves. I knew you wouldn't do anything like that. I probably
It would have been
but you would.
interesting.
No,
You
it's
know?
it's Kefke who's more likely to be the resurrectionist in the group.
If Kefke was there, I'd be helping her shovel.
Yep.
Science,
and we'd have a blast.
We're the
Kefke's just fun.
resurrectionists, you know.
Yeah, exactly. We're the resurrectionists.
Sanguine would come and sing you a jolly song about
There you go.
resurrectionists.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
you guys can tell me if this is true or not. I heard that if you were of noble or higher blood standard or whatever, before in the 1500s or something, you'd be buried in lead.
In a lead-lined coffin, yes. Many of the monarchs of England are buried in either lead-lined or zinc-lined, in one case, coffins. Aren't they, Prospero?
I've never studied the coffins.
Yep. Henry VIII was famously buried in a lead-lined coffin. And if you notice, when a royal dies, like even Diana, I'm pretty sure was buried in a lead-lined coffin. And that's to, it's tradition for one thing. And the other thing is that it supposedly prevents the body from, blending back into the dirt, becoming one with the dirt again. It keeps the body separate. And but it's mostly tradition. But anyway, when you see the pallbearers at one of these royal funerals, you can really tell. First of all the pallbearers are always big, strong men, and those coffins are much heavier than a standard coffin because of the lead.
Yeah,
I know that. I know that much about it. That's all. That's about all I've ever researched about it.
Now I want to go find out if.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Harry. Go ahead. Go ahead, Harry.
I was just going to say you won't be able to guess the monarch's weight as a pallbearer because you basically added all this extra weight. That's
an important point. Yeah.
Y equals mx plus b, where b is a very large number. So it's like we're into the like the Taft range, right?
Right. William Howard Taft, the 300-pound president of the United States.
Because Henry VIII was not a small guy.
Not by the time he died.
That was a lot of lead.
And so you put him in a lead-lined coffin. We're talking about some serious weight.
That's actually a great point. Because he was easily 300 pounds when he died.
Oh, easily.
Henry was, and probably between 300 and 400 pounds. Well, I don't know what the weight of those coffins are, but I've worked with lead in many forms. In one of the more portions of my life, my dad almost became a partner in a lead mine in Colorado. It's a complicated and long and not very interesting story, but you learn that lead has lots of protons and neutrons in the nucleus, and that makes it very, very freaking heavy per unit volume. It is an extremely dense. It's one of the heaviest non-radioactive elements on the periodic table.
Is it one of the heaviest or the heaviest?
No, it's one of the heaviest. Is it bismuth that's more, or is it? It might be the one that is the last non-radioactive. I have to cheat and look. So periodic table, and I can tell you in 2 seconds. I'm not shabby with periodic. periodic table, believe it or not.
hmm
And I will tell you, where's
Larry,
old plumbum? Plumbum is the old Latin name, which is why the symbol is PB, by the way.
hmm
And no, bismuth is
Plumbum.
heavier. Bismuth is heavier.
Okay.
And now, there are a couple of commonly occurring. I remember this from having looked it up before. There's some common isotopes of bismuth that are very low radiators. They are very low alpha radiators, and after bismuth comes polonium, which is
Radioactive as hell.
definitely radioactive, and then astatine and radon after that. So the nasty gases.
Yeah.
So so bismuth is a little bit more than good old plumbum.
Well, lead was good stuff, and they definitely had an abundance of it because they even had leaded roofs on some of the buildings. Like in England during Henry VIII's time.
Sure.
So you'd actually have lead tiles on the roof, and it lasts forever.
It lasts forever. It doesn't combine with anything, and it's easy to work.
It oxidizes a little bit, and then that's actually good because it now has protective coating. It's great.
That oxide, yes, exactly. That lead oxide, PbO2, I think it is, or PbO4.
Yep.
I can't remember. Is there's nothing that dissolves that. I mean, unless it rains hydrochloric acid, you're not going to dissolve that.
Well, also as a soft metal, it is resistant to impact. So if you hit it with a 2-inch hailstone, it doesn't care. You might put a little dimple in it, but because it deforms, it actually absorbs the energy instead of just breaking. Yeah,
exactly.
Frosted brings up a good point about the bodies getting lead poisoning.
Well, that was going on for a long time. I'm still not sure who to believe about the lead pipes in Rome and whether that had any impact on the decline.
Well, it was actually it was probably more the pots and pottery that had that's where they got the lead from. Everybody says it's the pipes, but that isn't really true.
Mm-hmm.
It was really the lead that was mixed in when they made the ceramics. That's what leached the lead out and put that lead in solution. And
it's also used in a lot of pigments.
Yeah, absolutely. It's used industrial uses for lead. Not that everybody has tuned into Minions of the Zoo hoping for a lecture on industrial uses of lead. Lead, the industry's friend. But yeah, it's substantial.
At least they didn't add it to the bronze. We can be thankful for that.
No
they
kidding.
used to use mercury as a medicine.
They did.
For syphilis.
Yep.
For syphilis,
Salvicin.
yep.
Yeah, that's what they used to give to me. I mean, that's what they used to give to somebody I knew. Back in the
You were friends with Henry VIII?
Back in the 1800s. Actually, it was actually being used as late as the 20s and 30s in the United States.
Yep.
As an approach, because they were about to invent. Alexander Fleming was about to twig onto the idea that, hey, this penicillin really takes syphilis out of the picture, and that was an amazing discovery.
I'm surprised the insurance companies didn't send out a memo saying he wasn't allowed to talk about it. The only approved treatment for syphilis is basically to rub mercury salts into your penis. Yeah, congratulations.
Yes, it's topical mercury salve.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, can you imagine?
Well, my grandfather told me about this stuff when he was dumb and young and joined the Navy rather than go to jail for stealing a race car. He got injured, as young people often do, and so he I think he broke his leg or something, and he was laid up for a bit, and they put him in a bed right next to the VD ward, and he saw some things.
Yeah.
So needless to say, when he was in charge, he kept a big. There was basically a desk at the end of the gang plank. Or what's the thing that goes from the ship down to the dock?
The gangway.
the gangway, and in that
Yeah.
drawer, he just take as many condoms as you want, make balloon animals.
It's
do
also
whatever.
it's also referred to, usually incorrectly, as a prow. That's not really the prow of the ship, but that people talk about putting a prow over. I don't really know where that came from, but
That's
that's wrong.
peculiar.
It's called a gangway, guys. That's just what it is.
That's what I thought. I couldn't remember. Well, there's the gangway, and then there's the gangplank, which is the thing you don't want. The gangplank, there's more of a vertical drop.
Yes.
At the end of it. Yeah.
Yeah. People did not. That was another myth. People didn't walk the plank; they threw them off the ship.
Yes.
You know, it
Well,
it
you
was.
just
Sometimes
It
with
wasn't
a rope,
like people have it like a diving board. You know,
sometimes
if
with
they
a
did
rope
that,
tied
sometimes they
to
would.
them.
Yeah, they would keel haul them too.
Yep.
You know, but normally
Oh,
they
there's-
just throw them off the ship.
there are some people I'd love to keel haul.
Yeah.
Oh, I have a list. If we're
Sure.
ever allowed to do it,
Mm-hmm.
you guys will help me, right?
Oh, sure.
With my list.
Absolutely.
I'll help you make sure I'm not on that list. I'll help you curate the list, but I don't.
I don't know if that I would want to be involved in an actual keel hauling.
Yeah, I'm pretty non-violent. I don't want to keel haul.
Oh, I
anybody.
don't know. There's some wood chipper candidates that keel hauling would suit as a substitution.
Shroom, are you with me?
As long as they, decide that they wanted to identify as maps, I would be more than glad to help you.
Yes.
That's what I was thinking.
Just strap him to a Yellowstone geyser.
Yeah, we.
Yeah, all the ways we would kill pedophiles. But seriously, folks,
Don't be
So-
a pedo. We won't want to kill you. There you go.
I can't believe they're on the flag now, the pride flag.
No, I don't
they're
think
not
that actually happened.
Officially,
no, they're
There
not.
were
Right.
there were some people that, as a little prank, threw some map stuff onto some banners and then threw it out in the beginning at the front of some pride parade.
Yeah.
So there have been a few pranks, but
But the people who take that seriously, Jenna, all kidding aside, they don't want the maps in their group, and that's kind of a problem. If you go back and look at some of the writings of some of the noted homosexuals, people who were known to be gay, particularly men, in the late 1950s and early 1960s, they talk about the minor attracted person and what should we do about those things. And I don't want to get too far into that subject. I just realized I don't want to get into that subject at all. But that's been resisted by those people for a long time. And the people who want to be identified with the rainbow folks, the inclusive folks, so-called inclusive folks, are usually up to no good. Their motives are not good. They just want to get close to kids because they basically have a sickness.
And then there are people who deliberately want to discredit the rainbow organizations.
Yes, exactly.
Which is-
And they try and lump them in, maliciously, and that's wrong.
Well, there
Yeah,
has
people that think
No. Go ahead, Prospero. Finish your thought.
there's been a long-term fallacy maintained
Mm-hmm.
in the anti-homosexual movement, particularly, was aimed at men, that they were all groomers.
mhm.
That's a long blood libel against.
And it's
It's
just
it's
utterly untrue.
It's utterly
It's
untrue because
beyond untrue. And
you mentioned NAMBLA, and I mean, I've mentioned NAMBLA to gay men, and they've gone, who? And I've told them what NAMBLA stood for, and they have gotten a look of utter revulsion on their face, and so every one of them has said, "Wait, you mean there's a goddamned organization like that?"
they've got a letterhead and everything.
Is that yeah? It's like, oh, where are they? That kind of. It's because it's been such a vulgar rumor attached to the community, it's a big damn deal to not have that nonsense going on. And unfortunately, people who are pro math, as well as people who are deeply anti-homosexual, can glom on to stuff like that and try to insert it in the dialogue unjustly in both directions. You know, and they end up once again committing a blood libel against homosexuals.
Right.
It is a modern day equivalent to some of the blood libels that are still repeated to this day against Jews that go back to the goddamn Middle Ages. Nonsensical shit that people
it's just
keep spreading.
Wrong.
It is wrong. It's done out of its own form of perversion. It's just a hatred.
This thing burst onto the scene really in 1977 when police went into a Boston suburb. I think it was Revere. They arrested like 24 men and indicted them on a zillion counts of statutory rape of boys and stuff like that. It was the first real splash that kind of stuff was going on, and the move against it. That actually, the move against those people started in the Boston area. So you should be proud, Jenna.
Yeah.
They sentenced those guys to like millions of years in prison, and half of them were killed. Fully half of the people who were sentenced in that group were killed in prison.
I'm not surprised.
That's where a lot of these stories came from, by the way.
Well, the interesting
was this effort.
Well, look at it. It was the Boston Globe that blew the lid off the priests.
Yes, the
Father O'Reilly.
And others, including one that
I just remember
grew up in.
the big Father O'Reilly one.
It makes you so mad. It's hard to be flip about it. I didn't mean for this to go down this path, but I guess that's I always say this show is about where the conversation leads, and it led here. But anyway,
yeah, we were talking about lead.
Yeah, lead and
mercury
poisoning.
salts in penises and things like that. You know.
Yeah.
You know, we went from Boy Scouts to lead to penises to maps.
Yeah.
Yes.
The wrong kind of maps. Let's talk about cartography.
Could we not call them maps though? That's given into what they want. They're pedos.
Well, no. If they're
no need to get down into the weeds there. Let's move on from this.
Okay.
It's not a happy.
Also, not a subject YouTube is fond of.
Yeah, and I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. Just suffice to say, they're disgusting. They're not in any way associated with any LGBT organization of which I am aware. And to quite the contrary, the LGBT people won't have anything to do with them. And good on those folks. They shouldn't want to. No one should. These are at best sick and at worst just truly evil people, and I think we can leave that there. But at any rate, it's kind of interesting. You remember Allen Ginsburg?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember which Ginsburg it is. There's so many of them.
This was the poet.
Okay.
The beat poet.
Okay, that guy. Okay, got
He
it.
was a big defender of NAMBLA. That's the last thing I'll say. I just wanted to say,
Yep.
Put that out. He was a truly strange guy.
Yes.
I don't even know what to say about that. He was a supporter and member of NAMBLA, and saying that he joined the organization in defense of free speech, quote unquote, And he says, attacks on Nambla stink of politics, witch hunting for profit, humorlessness. Just let that sink in. Vanity, anger, and ignorance. I'm a member of Nambla because I love boys too. Everybody does who has a little humanity. Alan, that's not what they mean. Ginsburg appeared in a documentary on Nambla called Chicken Hawk, Men Who Love Boys, playing on the gay male slang term from chicken hawk, in which he read a graphic ode to youth. And, Andrea Dworkin, in her book, I think it was Heartbreak, pulled him down for that, I think.
Yeah, she was too.
How wrong do you have to be for Andrea Dworkin to call you out on
No
something?
I know, when Andrea Dworkin is on the right side of anything, one of
the most genuinely unattractive people of all time. And I mean that in the broad spectrum sense. I'm not just talking about lack of symmetry in her face. I mean all the things that matter.
Think of both in physically, personality, actions, attitude, objective, and accomplishment. Everything about her was disgusting.
Yeah, she makes Madeline Murray O'Hare look like a fun guest at a party.
Oh,
you know, I mean, she's
and Madeline Murray O'Hare was a pain in the ass.
She's a monstrous pain in the ass. I mean, I'm not even religious, but I think she was a pain in the ass. She was very good at what she
sunshine
did.
Compared to this.
Well, Andrea Dworkin is just one of the most hateful, miserable, ugly, terrible, disgusting, rotted out from the center people ever.
Yeah, if a disease could take human form, it would be Andrea Dworkin.
Well said.
When I think of Allen Ginsburg, the way to footnote Allen Ginsburg is to say he was one of a kind, and we hope the only one.
I'm going to inflict something on you.
You're going to put up a picture of Andrea Dworkin?
I sure am.
How did I see that coming?
Why?
I'm actually surprised you didn't do it, Harry.
I thought about it. That's how I. No,
yeah,
I'm not going to.
Yeah, and Harry wouldn't, and for Harry to not do.
Yeah, to know that it's over my personal life. That's actually not the worst picture of her.
Feminine.
No, you can do better than that.
Oh no! I that's actually what she looked like.
Jabba the what?
Yeah.
No, she. There are many worse pictures of her.
This is Jabba the cunt. That's what this is Jabba the cunt.
Hi, my name's Venereal Wart. You know, it's just.
Sorry for the plain language there, folks, but that's what this is. You're looking at a cunt right there.
Yeah, she's.
Oh my God, that makes me sick. Okay,
You did it to yourself, man.
I know. I hate myself. What's wrong with me?
Twisted person.
She looks like she eats small children.
It's not
as antisocial as she.
Yeah, Andrea Dworkin was just when you're number one, the number one selling book she ever wrote was called The Death of Men.
Something for which she ardently wished.
Oh, truly, yeah, and that was the theme of the book, was all the men are dead. Yay.
Yeah.
And life will be perfect, except it never was. And this was, oh man. Anyway, how did we go down that rabbit hole? But there you go.
It was just part of the natural progression. We hate ourselves, so we're just making the topics worse each time.
I have a question.
Yes.
So in the title it says MotZ 1514 News, Politics, Cultures, but then it says number 1479. Which one is it?
Oh, because I haven't changed the other one. It's 1514 is the correct number. I'm sorry about that. I will change that forthwith. It's just in the show notes. It's different, and because I use
Oh, I wasn't complaining about it. I just
forgot to change it. That's all.
Saw it and my mind went here. So I asked.
It will change here before your very eyes. And
playing basketball with the mic.
What's that? Who's playing basketball with the mic?
You.
Me? No.
Mhm.
It's
Did that come through to you?
no, not to me at all.
Oh, okay.
Nothing came through to me
Oh,
at
okay.
all.
Oh, okay. I was afraid that my sound came through to you because you said he's playing basketball with a mic. And I went,
No, somebody
never
said
even-
that you're playing basketball with the mic.
oh, thunk, thunk, thunk.
I don't hear a thunk. Do you hear a thunk?
I heard a thunk.
It's gone now.
It
We
sounded
heard
like
it, but it's
Skep hit
gone.
his mic, or hit the desk that his mic is on, or something like
Yeah,
that.
that's probably what it is. Probably just put my hand down on there.
You've got a sad dog.
Yeah, it just wants attention. That's how I want attention, Daddy.
Oh,
I
did
know
you
that sound.
did you give the puppy to your daughter, or did you keep it like I told you to?
No, they wanted it, and they had just lost their little dog. They had to put their 14-year-old dog down a few weeks ago. So this was a get well dog, a get happy dog for them. So it was very important, and it really broke my heart. But Christmas Day, my wife left me and took the dog. It sounds like a country song. Anyway, she left and took the dog to Arizona and deposited the dog with the kids, stayed for a couple of days, and then came home. And the dog is perfectly happy there, having a great time. And I get to babysit the dog because my stepdaughter's contract will be up in Arizona. So she will have a new place, to go and look, but she'll get a couple of weeks off between jobs. She's a nurse who, goes and works on, wherever things are tough because they pay you a lot of money. And she lives in a really nice brand new mobile home
Sad dog thirsty.
that better not be happening in a bathroom.
All I could hear
You
was
didn't hear the dog licking his drinking?
it sounded like a pupper drinking.
Yeah, it's usually from a toilet. But
No, that was my dog.
Oh,
no,
okay.
okay, that was your dog. All right.
Sorry about that.
No.
That's okay.
That's it. We do dogs on this show.
Yeah, we're used to dogs.
No,
It's usually, we
he was
usually
out here
when a dog
whining,
barks-
so I gave him some treats and took him back to the bedroom. Then he decided to come back out and get some water after I gave him his treats.
Of course.
I
Gotta
get thirsty after I eat.
everybody wants water before Betty Bye. Even Cindy Lou Who, the Grinch, knew that. Jimmy got her a cup and he sent her back to bed.
It really should not teach kids to take water from or stuff from strangers, especially if they've broken into your house.
He was dressed like Santa Claus.
He was green.
She was too.
Good point. Oh, holy heck, what is that?
Harry, I hate you.
Oh, God damn it.
What is that? Hang on, let me embiggen that.
I just tried to find something to make you not think about that Andrea Dworkin picture. I figured this could replace it. No, honey, you're thinner than me, not prettier.
Oh, I bet she's both.
Yeah. Man, there's just something about the whole liberals exposing their L's on the internet. That's
Yes.
why is it that they I don't understand. I don't get what people think.
If you try to understand, your mind will actually explode.
Yeah.
There's not enough duct
what do you
tape
mean
in the world.
exposing their L's on?
Yeah, I had to ask about this, but basically they do things that are basically where they're essentially losing at life, but then they post them as if they're winning at life.
L's as in losses. I've got
Yes.
it. Okay.
Yes.
So they're showing us.
That's what the kids say these days.
Okay. So this is a person who says, I fucked up. I'm continuing to fuck up. Look at the product of my fuck up and love me.
Yes.
Somebody love me.
Do you want to see that that picture of that kid getting hit by the trash can again?
Sure.
Of course I do.
Okay, here it is.
This is absolutely,
Since we're
Well,
full
the funniest
screen, might as well
things.
make use of it.
absolutely. All right, give it another try, kiddo. Bonk!
This is my favorite thing this week.
This-
This
First time
kid's
Shroom
an
has seen this.
idiot.
No, it's windy.
Watch. But this is where it gets good.
Yeah, it really does.
Whoa!
What's he trying to do? Steal it?
Oh man,
Sheesh.
I love the back somersault. That's awesome.
And then the defeated arms akimbo at the
yes,
at the end.
Well, he's actually pulling up his pants.
yeah,
His pants were coming down.
it's okay. I mean, he's just gotten beat
Just
up by a
ev-
trash can.
I've been
Was
beaten
that-
up by a trash can, and my pants are coming down. For a little kid, that's as bad as life gets sometimes.
Yeah, it's just that was like the worst day ever.
Yeah.
Hold on to your hat.
So the
kid.
internet's not all bad. So for every early childhood education, non-binary, trans fluid, I'm going to indoctrinate your kids person on there. There's pictures of a little kid struggling with a trash can. It's hilarious.
Yeah.
Creamed in the head repeatedly.
They're
Well, I've
ringing
got it rolling
doorbell.
now. I'll take my hand off. You know,
It's a
bong.
valuable life lesson.
Yes, it is.
Okay, I have a problem. I went and I checked private chat, and now I don't know how to get out of private chat without eating myself.
So don't
Well-
touch anything.
Don't. We're actually gonna kind of draw this to a close here in just a minute. So just relax, chill out, and enjoy the time. Oh, this is the third Harry video.
This is for anybody
So
who
great from
missed
the other night.
Saturday.
This is awesome. Trash can races.
Dude,
Where was this rain? Where was this?
This is California. In California, everything goes to crap if there's an inch of rain.
They look like obedient little robots.
I
Heading
know.
to their little robot home.
See, this
Let's
is
see,
this
I'll
is a
try
palate
this.
cleanser.
They're
The
saying
March of the
6 feet
Marionettes
apart.
would be perfect for this.
Yeah, so just forget all the horrible stuff that you saw earlier or that we talked about. Just think about these happy trash cans. Like, I'm free, I'm free.
Dancing to Sugar
Until they
Plum
run the
Fairies
stop
would work
sign.
good.
Yeah,
It'd be pretty
Amazing
awesome.
how they're hugging the curb.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the road is sloped downhill
Yeah, it's
on that side.
Well, it's
so
crowned.
supposed-
It's actually crowned. It's crowned.
Well,
But
it looks
there
like
goes-
it's crowned.
There goes
and
the
going
recycling
down.
bin down the right-hand
Yes,
side.
You're right. It is actually a little
Don't-
bit sloped beyond the crown. You're right on the left side.
Yeah,
That's why all the water's pooled over there.
good times.
Yeah,
That water
that's-
is dirty.
Yes. That's
bad.
what
Yeah.
water
Well, yeah,
from
it's
very heavy rain
It's washing through California.
usually
Exactly.
looks like.
Well, you
All
really
those
don't
people
want to drink
put
gutter
poo in
water
their
anyway.
driveways in solidarity with San Francisco.
Yeah,
I wonder where that is. That's interesting. I would like to know. That's a lot of rain, and just
I thought Californians didn't do
looks pretty
rain.
verdant.
we don't
Looks pretty
except
verdant.
except every now and then it'll rain, and then everything will flood, mudslide, dams will collapse.
Sewage will wash out to sea.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
yeah. Well, once
San
you know,
Franciscans get a bath.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, they've got tents and stuff. They set up like a little parking lot area where they could set up their tents, and they would put like a little square, and they're like, okay, post your tent here. And they had porta potties and guards and stuff, and it was working out to, gosh, I forget what it was, like $2,000 a month per space for them to make a spot that
What?
was livable with a tent. Yeah, it was some ridiculous number like that. It would have been cheaper just to put them in hotel rooms.
There are just not smart people in government. We need more smart people in government.
Well, there's
The
very
smart
little
people
incentive.
don't want to run.
No.
Because they're
No.
smart.
Yeah,
Just-
I actually applied for one government job one time because I thought it might be interesting, and they informed me that I wasn't qualified.
That you weren't qualified?
Yes,
What were
I
you
was
short in?
unqualified. I have no idea. I'm not sure how I could have been deficient, but apparently I wasn't qualified.
Jeez. Unless that job was as a wet nurse, I can't imagine what you were unqualified for.
Yeah, well, it's a mystery to me as well.
Yeah,
Excuse
very
me,
strange.
men can lactate.
Oh, let's not go down this road.
Yeah. This has been the weirdest show.
Can I read Assassin's comment about bad? He says that California is bad when the trash cans are leaving.
There
are a lot of people that aren't leaving. That's the thing. I mean, a lot of high-profile people have left, and a bunch of people were smart enough to sell their houses because, for whatever reason, property is going for a premium right now. So a lot of the people who are leaving are people who just said, "I'm just going to sell my house and retire. I'm going to sell my $3 million house and go buy a $350,000 house that's twice as nice,
but
and just retire." And that's what they do. It's
What
not
I'm
really that
reading-
surprising. The market's basically working.
Yeah. What I'm hearing in California is the real estate market is hot as a pistol.
Yep.
And you would expect lots of people leaving and not enough people coming in, net loss of people. You would expect some vacant properties and generally downward pressure on prices. That's not happening.
No, and when the riots started in earnest in Portland
Mm-hmm.
and in Washington State up around Seattle, I started going on to, I think, Zillow, and I was trying to see what the trend was in terms of properties that were available and price trends and things like that. And it really didn't have that much effect overall.
Mm-hmm.
You'd think that like 10% of your population would just leave. Nope. Most people, either through laziness or excessive optimism, just figure everything's going to be the same. Now, I have work reasons for being here in California, and
Sure.
I've been here for multiple generations, and I'm just stubborn, and I don't particularly want to leave. But there's a point where, even I would leave if I had to. But a lot of it's just sort of overplayed. For somebody like Dave Rubin, he has no reason to be here. And the Daily Wire people have no reason to be here. So
And
them
if
moving
Dave
to
moved-
Nashville's totally, or Nashville and Florida totally makes sense.
Except that Ben Shapiro was born and raised in Los Angeles.
Well, my ties to California might be deeper than his.
Could be.
Yeah. But-
I don't know.
Yeah. I think he's one of those people that thinks of himself more as being almost an international citizen, despite the fact that he's kind of on the right. There is sort of this tendency for people to sort of identify one way or the other. I think he doesn't think of never really thought of himself as a Californian, just somebody who lives in California. I'm actually a Californian.
I'm a Bostonian.
There you
Ben
go.
Shapiro is a cognitively simple man. He is a problem solver, not a problem enlarger. And he's one of the most simplifying people I have ever known. I think it makes him that's one of the things that makes him so good as a political philosopher.
Mm-hmm.
He actually comes to conclusions and then is very good at stating them in a pithy and concise way.
Reductio. Yes.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. I think that he did have some profound emotional ties to the Los Angeles area from having been born and raised there. But to him, it was a simple question of, where am I going to raise my children? I've got a baby.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want my baby to grow up here. The problem was solved at that moment. His course became clear. I've got to move. I've got to move my family to someplace that's safe for my kid. And that's done and done. But, that's exactly what he did.
Where did
So-
he move?
He moved to Tennessee. Was it Nashville? I think.
No, he moved to Florida, but
Oh,
the
did he move
Daily
to
Wire
Florida?
moved to Tennessee.
I'm
That's
losing
right, that's
track
what it
of
was.
which one's moving to which place at this point.
I knew Dave
Yeah.
Rubin had moved to Florida.
Ben lives in Florida, but the office is in Tennessee. And most of the people that went are in Tennessee. I think it was his wife was like, I am not moving to, or something, or I'm
Well,
not exactly sure.
Job opportunities for her would have mattered too. So
Yeah. She's a doctor.
yeah, so I've heard.
Where's University of Tennessee? Is that in Knoxville?
Knoxville.
Yeah.
He's sleazy. He's
If you spend any
nervous.
time in Knoxville, you don't want to live there.
It's a lovely place.
Not.
It is too.
Oh, Knoxville, give me a break.
I was just there 2 years ago.
Yeah, I've been there enough. It's near enough to where my sister lives in Boone, North Carolina, which is actually really is a nice place. Knoxville is just it's a little town.
Oh,
And,
what's the name of that? The college in Boone. My son looked into it.
Appalachian
State
State.
University.
Yeah.
Gavin was looking into it, but he decided no.
I have a couple of cousins who graduated from Appalachian State. One of them was the captain of the track team, track star, placed 22nd in Boston.
They have quite a music
guy.
program.
Yep. Yeah, it's a good music conservatory and an amazing track and field program. One of the best in the United States.
One of the things he liked about it was the town was the mountains, of course, and how friendly it seemed.
Oh yeah.
But
yes.
He decided no because he just decided that probably wouldn't be a good place for him to live.
Well, there you go.
For his own personal reasons.
But at any rate, the conversation regarding living in Eastern Tennessee as opposed to Western mountainous North Carolina will have to wait for another show because you've spent 2 hours of your life listening to us to prattle on. And I would like to thank chat for coming out and listening to us, and appreciate what you have to say and joining in the show. Appreciate my panel.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you to all of you, Prospero, Harry, Shroom, and Jenna, being with me here tonight on my first show in 2022. Let's hope this year is a year that makes us forget about 2021 in a good way. And
Amen.
hope we get a little bit of a break from the diseases and the political nonsense this year, and maybe get back to a little bit of normality, whatever I was trying to say, in the course of this year. But anyway, thank you all for being with us, and we're going to call it a night. And for that reason, the zoo is closed. Good night, everybody.